All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on a local organization that plays a really big part in its community, the Rio Rancho School Employees Union. We're going to get a handle on what they do, how they work, and what really drives them, all based on how they talk about themselves. So let's just dive right in and see what makes them tick. So this idea right here, it's absolutely central to who they are. You see it again and again in their materials, and it's pretty clear this is way more than just a tagline. It's the foundation for literally everything they do. It frames public education as something vital, a direct investment in the future of the entire community. Okay, so with that powerful idea as our starting point, let's get a little more specific. What exactly is the organization that's built on that bedrock? What's interesting here is that right away, their mission connects two things that people often talk about separately: the learning environment for kids and the working environment for staff. The way they see it, they're two sides of the same coin. The argument is you just can't have a great, supportive place for kids to learn if the adults in the building aren't supported themselves. So how do you make that mission a reality? Well, their single most important tool is something called collective bargaining. It's the engine that lets them negotiate for all their members at once. It gives them a unified voice, so it's not every single employee for themselves. And those negotiations, they're not just some abstract process. They lead to real, tangible outcomes for school employees. We're talking about securing rights on the job, getting fair benefits, and achieving compensation that's just. And another really key thing to understand is that the RRSEU is not going it alone. They're part of a much bigger picture. By linking up with state and national groups like the American Federation of Teachers, they connect their local work to a much broader movement, which gives their voice a whole lot more power. Okay, so we've covered the what and the why. Now let's kind of pop the hood and take a look at the how, the actual mechanics of how this whole organization is put together and how it runs. The entire thing is built on a really simple but powerful principle. This is not some top-down corporation. The whole point is for it to be democratic, built from the ground up by the very people it represents. So here's kind of a roadmap for how that power flows. It all starts with the members, the employees in every single school. They elect representatives right from their own buildings, and then those representatives come together to form the executive council. It's a direct line from the classroom or the bus garage right to the table where decisions get made. So what does this council actually do? Well, pretty much everything. They're handling the big policy decisions, they're managing the finances, and they're connecting members with opportunities to learn and grow. And that last point there is so critical, making sure every single group, whether it's teachers or custodians or assistants, has a real voice. All right, so let's shift gears from the nuts and bolts of the organization to the philosophy that guides it all. This is kind of like their North Star. These are the big picture ideas that really fuel their work every day. They believe that a great public education is essential for a democracy to even work, that every kid needs a team of caring adults around them, and that learning is about so much more than just test scores. It's about creativity, collaboration, the whole shebang. And you can also feel this real sense of local pride, this belief that their schools can be a shining example for the entire state. And here's a perfect example of their practical, nuanced approach to policy. When it comes to something like the Common Core, they don't just blindly say yes or no. They see the potential. They call it a big step in the right direction. But, and this is a big but, they attach a critical condition. For it to work, it has to be funded properly, and people have to actually understand how to use it in the classroom. If you had to boil their entire philosophy down into just one sentence, this quote would probably be it. It's such a powerful and simple argument, right? The people who are on the front lines, the ones working with kids day in and day out, they have incredible expertise, and that expertise needs to be heard and respected when the big decisions are made. Okay, so for our last section, let's bring it all back to the most important part, the people. Because a union isn't just a document or a set of rules, it's a living, breathing community. Just take a look at this list. It tells the story of the union's history through its leaders. We can see this whole succession of presidents, starting with the founder, Win Ullman, and going all the way up to the current president, Billy Hellion. It really shows a legacy of members stepping up from their own ranks to lead on behalf of everyone else. That history is one thing, but what about right now? If you're a school employee in Rio Rancho today, how do you actually plug into this whole system and make your voice heard? Well, they lay out some really clear, actionable ways to get involved.
It can be something like attending a big general meeting or something as easy as joining a text program to get alerts. There are even ways to directly help out your colleagues, like donating to the sick leave bank. It just goes to show that being involved can look like a lot of different things. And that question brings us full circle, right back to where we started, with that idea of public education as the bedrock of the community. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. What really is the role of a collective voice, like a union, in protecting and shaping that bedrock for all the generations to come?